For centuries, the galactic concordance had meticulously charted the stars, mapped wormholes, and navigated the natural rivers of space-time. Their FTL travel was efficient, logical, and thoroughly understood. But whispers persisted of something older, something grander, something left behind by the vanished architects, the precursor race that had built the very first stable galactic civilizations. These whispers spoke of gateways, ancient, colossal structures found orbiting dead, stars or hidden within nebula, inert and silent. Thousands of these gateways dotted the galaxy. Each was a colossal metallic ring, kilometers in diameter, etched with symbols no sentient species had ever deciphered. They hummed with a faint residual energy, hinting at immense power, but all attempts to activate them had failed. The concordance, with all its advanced science, could make no sense of them. Their activation protocols seemed to defy all known physics, all logical signal patterns. They were the ultimate enigma, a frustrating testament to a lost, incomprehensible technology. The concordance operated on principles of elegant data. Their FTL drives responded to precise energy signatures. Their communications were clean, tightly compressed data packets. They believed the gateways, if they ever activated, would respond to a similar, perhaps even more refined form of signal, a pure, resonant frequency, a complex mathematical prime, or a perfectly modulated energy burst. They had tried them all for millennia in every conceivable combination. The gateways remained silent, mocking their perfect logic. Humanity, as usual, was the exception to every rule. Our early spacefaring days were marked not by clean data, but by cosmic pollution. For centuries, Earth had been broadcasting into space a chaotic, unfiltered torrent of information, old radio dramas, pop music, television shows, political debates, news reports, static, advertisements, and, inexplicably, an inordinate amount of cat videos. These signals, long since degraded by interstellar dust and time, were considered galactic junk, cosmic background noise. The concordance had, in its polite honesty, designated human space as a signal hazard zone due to the sheer incomprehensible cacophony of our transmissions. Ambassador Anya Sharma, a human xenolinguist with a background in ancient terrestrial communications, had endured countless lectures on humanity's egregious data footprint. Your species, a Lumina diplomat, a being of pure light had once projected, emits a chaotic, uncompressed, and largely irrelevant data stream. It is inefficient. It is noisy. Sharma had merely smiled. We call it culture. When the first human probes, equipped with advanced signal analysis, stumbled upon a derelict gateway on the edge of a newly discovered nebula, the concordance scoffed. Your chaotic signals will only further obscure its dormant state. A Kronos diplomat, perceiving all possible futures of failure, had stated with cold certainty. They were wrong. The human probe, attempting a standard energy pulse, had accidentally suffered a momentary power surge. For a fraction of a second, an ancient, degraded fragment of a 20th century human radio drama, specifically a recording of Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, had accidentally bled into the energy pulse. The gateway, silent for untold millennia, activated. Not fully. Not with a clean, stable portal, but with a chaotic, shimmering burst of energy that lasted only a moment, then died. It was enough. The concordance's sensors went wild. They had found the key. And the key was human noise. The concordance was in an uproar. A human probe, inadvertently, had triggered a gateway using what they considered cosmic garbage. Dr. Eris Thorne, a leading human xenolinguist and expert on ancient communication, was immediately called to the forefront. So the gateways respond to noise? A Vespida collective consciousness projected, its multiple forms twitching in disbelief. Not noise, exactly, Thorne clarified, a manic gleam in his eyes. Complexity. Layered information. Degradation. Our junk signals, precisely because they are not clean, are rich with subtle variations, unintended harmonies, and the chaotic entropy of organic decay. They're like fingerprints, or ghosts. Thorne and his team began to theorize. The architects, the precursors, were not the perfectly logical minimalist beings the concordance assumed. Their gateways were not designed for pristine, elegant signals. They were designed for the ghost in the machine, a chaotic, information-rich, and inherently human form of communication. The architects, Thorne speculated, might have been a species that valued creativity, unpredictability, and even inefficiency. Their gateways weren't a precise logical lock. They were a complex, chaotic riddle, designed to be solved only by a species that understood the beauty of the imperfect. The challenge was immense. They had stumbled upon a momentary activation. Now they needed to replicate it, to stabilize it, and to understand why it worked. Thorne's team began to collect humanity's oldest, most degraded signals. Not the pristine digital broadcasts of recent centuries, but the crackling, static-ridden radio waves of the early 20th century. The blurry, analog television signals, the early, inefficient data packets. These were the signal ghosts. Their experiments began in earnest. They connected a vast array of old Earth receivers and transmitters to a newly recovered, smaller gateway activation module. They tried broadcasting a clean, perfect mathematical sequence. Nothing. They tried a pure energy burst. Nothing. Then they tried a fragmented, static-filled recording of a human opera, specifically a moment where the tenor hit a high note, accompanied by a sudden burst of orchestra and a faint overlay of crowd applause and ambient room noise. It was a cacophony of sound, a mess of overlapping frequencies, a degraded relic. The gateway module hummed. Its etched symbols flickered. And for a full minute, a stable, if small, portal shimmered into existence. The concordant scientists, observing from their sterile, data-clean labs, were appalled and fascinated. The humans, they are using their cultural detritus to activate advanced technology. It is illogical. It is beautiful. Thorne, wiping a bead of sweat from his brow, grinned. The architects weren't looking for perfection, ladies and gentlemen. They were looking for life, for the noise that says something complex is happening here. With the ability to reliably, if still imperfectly, activate the gateways, humanity suddenly found itself in an unprecedented position. We were the accidental gatekeepers to the entire galaxy. The concordance needed us, desperately. Project Kronos Echo was established. Its goal, to map and activate the vast network of architect gateways across the galaxy. The Odyssey, a human deep space exploration vessel, was refitted, its cargo holds filled not with scientific instruments, but with an immense library of chaos, a vast archive of humanity's degraded media. From ancient films to forgotten music, from amateur radio broadcasts to historical news reports, every piece of human noise was meticulously categorized by its unique chaotic signature. Ambassador Sharma, now leading the diplomatic efforts of Project Kronos Echo, found herself explaining the inexplicable to bewildered alien species. The gateways, it appears, respond to what we call soul, she'd explain. The chaotic, unpredictable, and information-rich byproduct of a species creating, living, and being. The first major gateway activation was a monumental task. Located deep within a gravitationally unstable nebula, the gateway was immense, spanning hundreds of kilometers. It required a precise, immensely powerful, and incredibly complex signal. Dr. Thorne, working from the Odyssey, chose a combination of signals. The sound of a roaring crowd at an ancient human sports event, capturing collective emotion. A degraded recording of the Voyager Golden Record, specifically the section with various Earth sounds and music. A fragment of the Apollo 11 moon landing broadcast, complete with static and the raw, unfiltered emotion of a species achieving the impossible, and, for good measure, a loop of a particularly beloved static-filled human pop song from the late 20th century. It was a symphony of chaos, a deliberate act of controlled data pollution. The Odyssey broadcast the signal, amplified by the nebula's natural energy fields. The gateway flared, not with a precise beam of light, but with a shimmering, iridescent, unstable energy field that pulsed like a living heart. The etched symbols on its surface glowed, revealing patterns that subtly shifted, almost like an organic language. And then, the portal stabilized. A vast, shimmering void opened, revealing a pathway to a star system thousands of light years away, a system that had been unreachable by any other means. The concordants watched in awe and bewilderment. They had tried for millennia with their perfect logic. Humanity, with its glorious mess, had succeeded. We were the key, not because we were perfect, but because we were perfectly imperfect. Through the activated gateways, humanity and the concordants began to explore the long-lost systems of the architects. They found not dead ruins, but vibrant, diverse worlds, each subtly reshaped by the Precursor's unique philosophy. The architects, it seemed, had not been interested in sterile perfection, but in fostering complex, unpredictable ecosystems. On one world, they found vast, overgrown libraries, not of pristine data, but of intricately carved stones, each recording stories, songs, and sensory experiences of the architects, infused with deliberate imperfections and chaotic nuances. It was a history written in noise, designed to be interpreted uniquely by each observer. Dr. Thorne, delving into these archives, made a profound discovery. The architect's entire civilization was built on the principle of emergent complexity. They believed that true innovation, true beauty, and true meaning arose not from perfect order, but from the unpredictable interactions of chaotic elements. Their gateways were designed as a filter, a test, to find a species that understood this inherent truth. The gateways did not respond to logic, Thorne announced to the concordants, his voice resonating with newfound understanding. They responded to a species that was a living embodiment of the architect's own philosophy. They were looking for us. The signal ghosts, humanity's chaotic broadcasts, were not just a key. They were a recognition. They were the echoes of a lost race, finding its spiritual successor. The concordants struggled with this. Their entire scientific paradigm was based on reductionism, on finding the elegant, simple truth. The architects, and now humanity, were showing them that sometimes the truth was in the glorious, messy, irreducible whole. Ambassador Sharma worked tirelessly to bridge this philosophical gap. She explained human art, our music, our stories, how they conveyed meaning not through precise data, but through emotional resonance, through subjective interpretation, through the beautiful, chaotic layers of human experience. The concordants began to reluctantly admit that their pristine, minimalist forms of communication, while efficient, lacked something vital. They began to experiment with controlled signal degradation, intentionally adding subtle layers of chaotic data to their own transmissions, not for deception, but for richness, for an attempt at what humanity called flavor. Humanity was no longer just the accidental gatekeepers. We were the cultural interpreters, teaching an entire galaxy the value of chaos, of imperfection, of the vibrant, unpredictable mess that was life itself. The activation of the architect gateways opened up vast new swaths of the galaxy, revealing untold wonders and ancient mysteries. Humanity's signal ghosts continued to be the primary activation protocol, our species becoming indispensable to galactic exploration. But the architect's legacy wasn't just about travel. It was about a philosophy. Their remaining records revealed that they had seeded the galaxy not just with gateways, but with hidden resonance points, subtle energetic nodes that responded to complex, chaotic signals designed to foster biological and cultural diversity. Thorne realized that humanity's constant broadcasting, our cosmic pollution, had not just activated gateways, it had been subtly activating these resonance points for centuries, inadvertently fostering unexpected bursts of evolution and cultural development on many previously stagnant worlds. Our noise had been a catalyst for galactic growth. The Concordance, once horrified by our chaotic data footprint, now saw it as a form of unintentional cosmic terraforming. Humanity's signals, once dismissed as junk, were now recognized as a vital, if messy, force for galactic evolution. A vast, collaborative Project Cosmic Tapestry, was initiated. Humanity, with its library of chaos, partnered with concordant scientists to intentionally target resonance points with specific blends of human noise carefully curated to encourage biodiversity or cultural flourishing on developing worlds. They broadcast ancient Earth folk songs to barren worlds, hoping to inspire aesthetic creativity. They sent fragmented recordings of scientific debates to intellectually stagnant cultures, hoping to spark new lines of inquiry. They even broadcast cat videos to isolated species, simply because the sheer, joyful, and utterly illogical nature of them often sparked unexpected positive emotional responses. The galaxy began to change, subtly but profoundly. New art forms emerged on distant worlds inspired by fragmented human music. Unexpected scientific breakthroughs occurred on others, sparked by the chaotic echoes of human debate. Worlds that had been culturally stagnant for millennia suddenly bloomed with new ideas and vibrant expressions, all because of the signal ghosts, the chaotic, degraded, and wonderfully human broadcasts that resonated with the architects' vision of a living, evolving cosmos. The concept of harmonious dissonance became a new philosophical cornerstone for the Concordance. They learned that perfection could be sterile, and that true strength often lay in embracing complexity, imperfection, and even chaos. Humanity's place in the galaxy was cemented. We were no longer simply the messy, loud newcomers. We were the signal ghosts, the architects of unintended growth, the keepers of the cosmic key. Our unique, often baffling blend of logic and emotion, of efficiency and glorious inefficiency, had proven to be the missing piece in the galactic puzzle. Dr. Aris Thorne, now a revered figure, often gave lectures to packed auditoriums of alien scientists. He would play a static-filled recording of an old human blues song, its raw emotion, its imperfect notes, its underlying pain, resonating through the chamber. He would then explain how such a noisy signal, filled with the very essence of human experience, was more profound, more activating than any perfectly clean mathematical equation. Ambassador Anya Sharma, speaking to the Concordance, summarized humanity's contribution. We showed you that the universe isn't just a set of equations. It's also a song, a messy, chaotic, beautiful song. And sometimes, the most important notes are the ones filled with static. The gateways continued to hum, constantly being activated by the curated chaos of human signals, opening new pathways, revealing new wonders. The galaxy was not just connected by FTL drives, but by the invisible, pervasive, and profoundly human echoes of our past. The signal ghosts, the fragmented dreams, the forgotten laughter, the timeless music, the earnest debates, the sheer, undeniable noise of humanity had become the thread that wove the cosmic tapestry together. We were the accidental gatekeepers, the keepers of the architect's riddle, and the proof that sometimes the greatest strength lies not in pristine order, but in the vibrant, noisy, glorious, and utterly unpredictable heart of humanity. Our chaotic signals, once deemed pollution, had become the very breath of a reborn galaxy.